Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Obakeng. I'm representing Nkosi Phendule Projects, and I'll be presenting on what we got on behalf of Sithembile Kave. So being part of this project and this program was really helpful for us, especially for the people who are working for us, as many of them are actually coming from disadvantaged communities or living in the informal settlements in and around Cape Town. So our company is registered in East London, but we mostly operate in Cape Town. So at the moment we are working at the dry dock in Cape Town at the V&A waterfront. And then we've also worked at the Transnet in East London, Saldanha, as well as Simonstown. So our company, Nkosi Phendule Projects, was established in the year 2014 by two brothers, Sithembile and Buntu. Sithembile is a marine engineer. He's the marine engineer, and it was his idea that this company is actually started up. But I only started working with them in 2019. So what we do is we basically do marine services and consulting and operating in East London as well as Cape Town. So the goal of our business is to be a leading Black and youth-owned marine engineering company. We have found that this is a good niche for us because a lot of the companies are not youth-owned or have Black owners. So which is why we're doing pretty well, even though there are still many difficulties as we are an SMME. So the market developments that guide our business, firstly, is the national fisheries vessels that require class repairs, and these are done through SAMSA. So SAMSA is the one that takes out the RFQs, and then we apply in the tender process as well. And then this also goes, the same goes for Transnet. So they issue RFQs or tenders, and then we tender through that process. And then Operation Pakisa, the Oceans Lab, ship repair and shipbuilding. That's also fundamental for our business. So our market and sector, so we mainly targeting ports, so the port authorities as well as port users. So also private ship owners that are coming into the country, or some of their vessels need to be washed, or they also require some minor repairs. In some cases, we've also done major repairs. So one of the things, sorry, I forgot to say, as we follow through with the pictures, actually, when you're looking at the pictures, it just follows through some of the processes that we go through once the ship or the tug is in the dry dock. So the picture that you're seeing here is a ship that is in the dry dock. So it accumulates a lot of debris and a lot of organisms that actually attach themselves to the bottom of the ship. So there's also special paints that are used in order to prevent this from happening, something that is linked to Dave's work with the ballast water. So these are very important because the ships are moving from one area to another area, and we need to try and avoid introducing alien invasive species. There's different special paints that are used that actually prevent certain organisms from attaching themselves to the ships. And these have been, I think over the past 15 years, have been established, and then they also put into legislation that is a specific paint that needs to be used, and that is also non-toxic. This picture was also taken, this one is in Simonstown, and this is Tag Kunu, another tag that we worked for. worked on. This is under Transnet. So the services that we provide are dry docking maintenance. Then during that dry docking maintenance, we do high pressure washing and sandblasting, spray painting, cabin refitting and refurbishing, engine repairs and service. And then when we're not doing that, we also supply things like fuel and lubrications, oil lubes, safety wear, spare parts, as well as crew. Some of the past projects this is just a handful of the projects that we have led. So under SAMSA, we have repaired, where we've done the class repairs on the fisheries ship Lilian Ngoyi, Victoria Mxenge, as well as Sarah Batman. And then for Transnet, we have worked on their tags, Tunu, PB Petrol, Umbilo, and then because we're in Cape Town, we're also closely affiliated with the Robben Island Museum, even though we still follow due process with the RFQs. So we've been able to repair we've repaired, for example, the anchor chain, did calibration, blasting, washing, and painting. So these are the vessels that are used to move between the V&A waterfront and Robben Island Museum on the island. Yeah, and also supply things like wheelchairs as well. So, so we're working quite a bit in Cape Town. So the support that we received was for working in confined spaces. Working in confined spaces, not just, this is now when you think where a vessel has tanks. So when the vessel, in the tanks in the vessel can carry things like diesel, lube oil, the seawater tanks, ballast water tanks, foam tanks, as well as freshwater tanks. So all these tanks need to be maintained from time to time or during the class renewal and repairs. So when the ship comes into the dry dock, we follow a process where you need to get a chemist who comes in and checks the tank and does a chemist test to check for a chemistry test. So these are confined spaces and very small to work under. So only one person had that certificate. So being part of the program, we're able to now add 3 other people to be part of the program and get certification for working in confined spaces, because there's a high risk of gas inhalation, sometimes drowning. Then the service provider who helped us under the program was Sheikh IT. So Kevin came to Cape Town to provide the training over 3 days. 2 days was for theory, and on the 3rd day, we went to Cape Town Harbor and went into one of the tanks. So in the picture, this is a freshwater tank that is going to be mechanically cleaned, mechanically prepped, then cleaned, and then repainted with touch-ups. So you can see that this is a enclosed space, and then there's special lighting and special PPE that we use. These are pictures of some of the other tanks. So there's a foam tank. A foam tank is used, all ships have to have a foam tank because if there's, say for example, if there's a fire out at sea, then the ships can call other ships. If they can't access their foam tank, then they can call other ships and then they can fetch or make a plan to get the foam. So it's like a fire extinguisher. Instead of using water, it's a foam extinguisher. So most vessels have to have a foam tank. Then the one in the middle is a freshwater tank that is being chemically cleaned. And then on the other side then is the clean, after the tank has been cleaned, painted, and painted again. Then I wanted to show a video. I'm going to put on my sound. This is just a video that was taken. Show the conditions of the enclosed space. Yeah, so this is the conditions of the enclosed spaces that we need to work in. So the impact and the benefits since the support is that four members are now more knowledgeable. Oh, sorry. 4 members are now more knowledgeable about working in closed and confined spaces. Now we have, we're going to get gas detection competency from DREJA. So DREJA supply various equipment for gas detection. So now we're, through Kevin, we are now also working with DREJA to also get some of the equipment for gas detection. And then we need a gas detector, and we decided that we need to buy our own gas detector so that even if the chemist is not there, we're also still able to monitor the levels of gas. The multiple gas detector can help us to check the gas from time to time when we're working inside the tanks. And then the pictures below are just showing so this is after blasting and touch-ups. So on the right-hand side, so then the ship is still going to be painted. And then on the left-hand side, it just shows the spray painting process. Looking ahead, after this program and still being in the program is, firstly, we were awarded a tender by Transnet Saldanha for dry docking maintenance of 3 tugs, so Cormorant, Jutton, and Chardonnay, for a 12-month period. So being part, and this was very helpful. I think it did also contribute being part of the program and getting the certification for working in confined spaces, because these were then added to our safety file. The safety file is mandatory when you're working with Transnet. And I think with the conditions that we're working in, also working at heights, working with chemicals, some of the machinery that we're using all the time, this was very helpful for us. And then we've also been enrolled in the SAQCC painting and blasting training. So the RFQ was published by the CSIR and expired on the 19th of November. So this, when this one starts, it will then give us an opportunity to bring more staff members to be certified spray painters. Some of the lessons and the challenges that we experienced was that a lot of the people that we're working with, some of them did not finish high school, but then in terms of working, they work really hard, they do really well. So one of the challenges was that because some of them didn't finish school, and English is not their mother tongue, so that was the problem that we had during the training. But because Ntembile, obviously, he's a graduate, so he was actually able to translate some of the difficult work during the training. So that's one of the challenges that Kevin and Ntembile had to encounter during the training process. And then the lessons learned was that safety requires teamwork and trust. And also it was good to also just reiterate that some people are better visually and using their hands than by actually doing the theory first. Would like to thank the DTIC for this program, as well as CSIR for coordinating, and Kevin from SHEG for coming down to Cape Town and conducting the training for us. Thank you so much. I'm done talking.
Thanks, Oboking. This was a great presentation. I really appreciate the photos and everything you just said. I don't see any direct questions in the chat box. But from my side, we are really pleased to have met you, and all the best for moving forward. And hopefully we will soon be assisting you guys for that SAQCC painting and blasting. Okay, perfect. I still don't see any questions. With that, we can move on. And then if there's any questions for Oboking, please post them in the chat. Oh, there's 2 hands that's up. Okay, Andre, we'll start with you. Go ahead. Andre?
think he's muted.
Here we go. I can see his face, but I can't hear him. Andre, if you've got earphones in, maybe just plug them in and out, because we can see your face, but we can't hear you. No, still we can't hear you. I can see you're talking. Maybe just post your message in the chat, your question in the chat. Gerald, over to you. I don't know if it's all hand or it's a new hand.
It's a new hand, Nicolene. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me also congratulate Nkosi Phendule Projects. Job well done, King. We hope that you can be beneficiaries through these programs from AISI, and that you can grow from strength to strength. The market really needs some penetration from Black SMEs. And then also, you know, coming to a question for Nicolene. Nicolene, how does King and a company get involved with all of us on this group? All of the projects and all of the different services rendered to the different entities has some auxiliary services needed at some point. And looking at King, we're looking at scaffolding, probably looking at some underwater service or underwater cleaning. When are we gonna create sort of a ecosystem portal for all SMEs that's beneficiaries of this fund, just to make sure that we also complement each other and also bring business to one another? Thank you.
Okay, King, I don't know if there's anything you need to answer first. Would you mind if I answer?
You can answer first.
Okay. First off, you were very soft, but I think I got the gist of it. So if my understanding is correct, you asked how King, their services and not directly manufacturing. I hope I got that. You were extremely soft on our side. I think the entrance of support that we provide depends on the applications that we receive in each round of calls. So Nkosi Phendule is related to manufacturing in the sense that the work that they do on tanks, they go in, they use the certification to make sure that they are safe environment to work so that they can do the maintenance, repairs, cleaning of the tanks and the holes. So that's the relevance to the program. I hope that Gerald, did that answer your question? Extremely soft now. You're still muted.
Sorry,
I think
sorry,
one of the sorry, Gerald.
Okay, King, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, Nicolene, one of the other things that Gerald asked was, will this, being part of the program and being here today, will that also allow us to actually work together and to start having connections where when we are in Saldanha, we can actually contact Dave and say, Dave, we're here, this is what we need. So that was one of the questions Dave asked.
Oh, okay. No, excellent. Yes, and that's exactly why we have these industry days. We want our SMEs that we support to display their abilities, their capabilities, and now their support so that they are more accessible to the local as well as international markets, which is the aim of the program, to get them in a platform where they are able to take on more work, to increase the market. I also saw Antonio Jones already reaching out to King, which is great. And we'll have these breakout sessions a bit later where you guys can introduce yourself to each other and tell what is the products that you manufacture or services that you supply. So that's exactly the aim of these industry days, is to encourage engagements and to introduce all through interested parties to each other. And I really appreciate, apologize, Gerald, I can't, it was so soft. I don't know if it's just on my side, but it was really difficult to follow your question.
Apologies, Nicolene. Maybe it's just me being a very soft-spoken young man. Can I perhaps request? You know, it's very unfortunate because we do see the contact details and everything. Could I perhaps request from your officer's side that we also get a list of and also context from everybody that's present today, because there's also some of us that's busy working and we can't really dot down some of the contact numbers. Could we perhaps request that from you, Nicolene, if possible? Thank you.
Yes, this becomes difficult because of the POPI Act. We need consent from everybody that the information that we share. So I would therefore recommend you jot down as fast as possible the companies that's willing to share the information. So that would be Obakeng's on her presentation, anybody in the chat, if they are willing to provide the information, because then they willingly consent to share the information. Unfortunately, I will not be able to mitigate and play that role for us in this. And that's why we hope to have these engagements in the future in person, so that you guys can interact more openly. So remember, in the terms of POPI, if you guys are willing to share it, then the information is out there. But then again, we need to protect those who doesn't want to share it. Okay, I just want to go back to the chat and look for the question from Andre. Can you see the question?
I saw there's a question from, okay, firstly, there was a question from Komoto. Thank you for the question, Komoto. Komoto, yes, this is the same as house cleaning. So we do various things also, yeah. So it's house cleaning, top side, underside, painting the top side, underside, and treating it. So yes, it's house cleaning. And then it was Antonio said he would like to keep in touch with us, and if we need a subcontractor when we're in Saldanha. That was it. Oh yeah, and then Komoto again asked, how do we dispose of the dirt from the cleaning? So firstly, we use fresh water. So you can't clean a ship using seawater. It's pointless. So we use fresh water, and then we mix it with the grit, and then that's when we grit blast on the outside. On the inside, we use dry grit because you can't have the water inside. And then we drain the water, and then the grit gets left behind. And then after that, we put it in 2 bags. The grit comes in special bags. Then we put the dirty grit back into those bags, and then it gets disposed of somewhere else. It's never disposed of at sea. There's a special place where we dispose of it for obvious reasons as well, especially for environmental reasons as well.
Thanks, Obakeng. I see we're quickly running out of time, but there's one more question that's for you. Just looking for it. I just had it. Great presentation, Obakeng from Sibusiso. So well done, Obakeng. People indicating that they're willing to share information. Dave for you posted his contact information. I think there was especially somebody asking for that. Did we address all the questions, Obakeng? It seems to me that we have.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you, everybody.